Well, the process has started. Here Wednesday, here's Chance putting together what they're calling the floor plate. It's really just a frame. There's Colby doing the same, catching wrenches, smiling. Of course, I missed it. I cut his head off as he did.
Ouch!
I know. And the bugs came out to help us too. This is the long 12-footer, and the 10-feeters we're putting together now. So this is the spot where we're planning on putting it. I've got this flower bed that is right there, and at first I thought about butting up against it, and I'm still thinking about it. But I'm also thinking about moving it out about 12 feet, or 2 feet, excuse me. The problem with that is that the ramp that I had originally built, which is this part right here, and I don't know if you can see the elevation change, but there's the trench, and then on the left you'll see the elevation is up a little higher. That was going to be the gate, the walkway up to the door. This is going to be a little elevated because the ground up here is higher than the ground down here. So if I move it out 2 more feet, then I'm going to have to move that dirt too. So I'm still thinking about that. So we'll see what happens. And this here is wooden frame we're going to put it on. This is wood that's what they call severe weather at Lowe's, but it's designed for in-ground use. And so we're going to be using that to place those frames on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 4 stakes in the ground made out of one of these. We're going to cut them into 4, and it's going to be cut buried in the ground and saccreted in. And after we do that, we're going to bolt the others in the dimensions needed to put a 12 by 10 frame, which is what they're building now, upon. And we'll screw it on there. And the whole idea here is to get it level with this frame first. That way when we put this on it, we won't have any problems with our greenhouse. We're having problems with these plates here on the base. We're trying to get them lined up. As you see right here, they're not making it even whenever you put the bolts in. So we're trying to figure out that one. We had that same problem with this one. We ended up lining it up pretty well. However, we may have to improvise and maybe get a drill or something. That's what we're thinking about doing, and drilling the holes to where we can make that even. So we did exactly what I said we were going to do with that, and we drilled bigger holes. It does make it a little more loose at first, but once you see it sits on a level surface, it doesn't budge anymore, and so it's not going to be a problem for us, I don't think. It's just going to be just fine once it's all said and done. So now we're trying to make sure all the nuts and stuff are tight. After we're finished with this, we're going to take it over and put it in the ground over here. We'll put it on the ground, I should say. We're going to kind of get an idea of where it sits, what it looks like, where we need to dig our posts, and go from there. The trenches that you see there, that's where those woods are going to lie down. Alright, so what we're doing right now, if you'll point down to the hole there, this is going to be our back wall that you see here. And what we're doing here is we decided, instead of dragging our hoses around this huge thing to the front doors, we want to put it in through the back since it's closer to the hose attachment. Chance has also got some other ideas he might want to do, but anyway, we're going to put a PVC pipe or some kind of casing down there that's going to go underneath the wood frame that will sit on top here and feed the greenhouse. We'll fill in dirt around it afterwards, but that way we can easily get a hose and water into the greenhouse without having to go through the front door. That's all. Okay, so I showed you that part. The other thing we're doing is we have just kind of laid out the wood 4x4s that we have, the 12 and the 10 foot. We got them cut the way we want to. We chose to cut the 12 foot down is what we did, and leave the 10 foot extended, so we didn't cut the 10 footer at all. And as you can see, well, that one is kind of a bad angle. We don't have this lined up perfectly just yet, but if that metal frame or the aluminum frame will scoot over some to the right on this, and that's where it's going to sit. And the idea is it's going to straddle in the middle this, and that's what we have it measured out to. So that's what we're going to do. We'll take, it's not assembled right now. Here's the post that we have in the ground. That wood that you see there is going to be even with that. The top of it's going to be even with the top of that. So that's the idea. So, and what you can't see in this video in depth perception is that everything to the left over here is lower than the items that are on the right. So this over here is actually higher up than this over here. So it's going to be where that metal thing may not be seen very much on this section. Now, because my yard is uneven, it will be seen down here at the low spot. And so you can see what we're doing there. And they're measuring right now so that we have where this measuring is beginning. That's going to be where the side where the 4x4s are going to go. And they're measuring it out so they kind of have an idea where to put the post. Over here, he's digging one over there as well. And then they're measuring it out to where the post will be here. So by an hour from now, we should have all of these in the ground. I say an hour because this ground is awful to work with. So it may be less, but that's where we're at right now. Okay, we stopped for lunch, but I left you guys with this information here. We got the holes dug on this side now. And what you see here is I'm got a level on it. The side that you see farthest from us is actually a little bit lower than it needs to be. What I've done, and this may not be the best method, but it's what we did, because I got a lot of high ground up there on that side of things. But we use that post there as the base, of which we were going to base every other level and whatnot on and measurement on. We came down here, we put this post down. It is level with that. We did the board thing over there and did that test. Then, because this ground is so low here, I took that same board that's sitting right there right now with the level and put it across these two posts. This one's not in the ground yet, but it's about to be. We're about to seam it in next. But it is, these two are level. And then I took this and measured it with that hole over there. It is not level. That side over there will need to come up some, but we'll worry about that after we lay this post in the ground and make sure everything is still leveling up there nicely. As far as squaring it up, we're not too worried about that. The only thing we're worried about, because we're not putting these posts in corners, we're putting them, this is a 10 by 12 thing, we're putting these 10 feet apart from each other, so to speak, but not quite 10 feet apart there. But whatever that measurement is that my son figured out, it's going to be the same from that post to this post on the 10-foot side, and that side to this side on the 10-foot side. And then we'll do the squaring of the frame based on that. This post here is actually going to be on the outside of the post right here. And once that's there, there'll be about a foot come in this direction, and then the 10-foot section will go that way. That's when we'll start squaring it up. We're keeping these, this one and that one parallel, and then what you see going left to right here and then left to right there, that's going to be my 10-foot section. We'll square that up with that then. But to me that was easier than trying to get the post exactly in the corners. It was easier to do it this way. So that's what we're doing. Did I mention we're a bunch of amateurs doing all of this? Well, we are. There are a few mistakes we've made along the way, but they're not, hopefully not going to be major. We'll find out as the whole thing develops. This one ended up being a little bit farther, closer to that board there. If I kept that board there, that one seems to be a little bit farther away, so I don't know how that's going to work out. And then I noticed on this one, I thought I was lining this, squaring this up right here where it was even with that line there, but it's actually twisted just a little bit to the left. So we'll see how that goes. That one over there is ready to go, and it's pretty close to being on target. So that's where we're at. Another fun note, when you're working out in temperatures over 90 degrees, make sure you leave all of your metal tools out in the sun. That way you know when you hold them that you actually have them, because you know your hands are on fire. So that's you. This was awful. Hardest thing, of course, is leveling something. We finally got the frame down in here. It is concreted into the ground. It's level. We're excited about that. We fought this thing though, because we don't really have the tools necessary to really deal with treated wood. This is that severe weather wood from Lowe's, and it is highly pressurized and all of that. And we broke 3 or 4 screws in it. We made a mistake on this one. You'll notice that if we can get down there, that one right there, you can see where 2 screws broke off, but at least it got it. It did make it to the stake that was cemented in, so we're good there. But you'll notice that these here, I've got bolts. Let's see, there they are. They're bolts, and those bolts go all the way through, and they're nutted in on this side. You can see that. So that's what we wanted, and that's what we were hoping for. But we made the mistake, because on this side, when we cemented in the post, we cemented the back side of it, not realizing that we needed to put bolts through there. We caught our mistake, and those 3 posts were okay, and we used really long screws for these. These are 4x4s that we're dealing with here. So anyway, we've got the plastic down that the gravel is going to go on. This silver floor plate that you see here on top of our wood, that's going to be what they call the floor plate. It is going to be filled with gravel, and so the top of that will be ground level inside the greenhouse. Additionally, it will be ground level out here as well. You'll notice that I've got this piece of wood here and then a gap there. All of that I will fill in with dirt as well, and then grow some grass around that, and we'll have a walking path there, and then fill in on the side there. Down here, this is where our low level is. We've talked about our low level throughout the video, but that is going to be a ramp that goes up to it. We'll build up the ramp more so that we can get inside the greenhouse right there where the doors are. So we're going to have to extend that ramp out a little bit, not make it too steep, but we'll do something there for that. All right, so that's where we're at right now. You'll notice what we did here. This is kind of silly. Southern engineering at its finest here. Take sewer tubes and you put it in the ground, and what we're doing with this is, you'll see the hose coming out of it. Well, if I tighten that cap there, the female end of the hose is right there, so that I can attach a hose to it, so I don't have to wheel my hose from that side all the way around into the house here to water plants. We can just grab it right there and ready to go by screwing in the hose at that point, and then going inside and then using that hose to water. This is a 15-foot hose, which worked perfectly, because this being a 12-footer going from here to here, actually has enough length to water everything inside there without having too much hose, so it worked perfectly. All right, that's where we're at right now. Okay, so now it's the next day. I'm looking at all my parts here, getting ready to assemble. I made the mistake of calling this the floor plate. This is actually the base plate, what they call the base plate. And the floor plate's what we're going to build today, and then hopefully the rest of it, and I'll be able to look up and see a beautiful greenhouse here at the end of it. So that's what we're working on right now. We'll see how the day goes. Alright, so we finished putting in the floor plate now, and now what we're doing is we're making the corner posts come up here. I forgot what the official name of it was, but anyway, that's what we're doing right now. They're putting those up in the back at the moment. We're going to do the front here in a second, and my job now is to go tighten the bolts on that. Okay, our 4 corner posts are now installed with their braces. Colby and Chance are working on top pieces right now, and we're getting ready to install those. So that's what we're doing next. So we're getting excited. Hello everyone, time to tell you our progress. So over here we've got the ceiling plates now put in place, and that's where the ceiling's going to go on top of, which means it's now time to put the sidebars on, or studs, or whatever you want to call them. But that's what we're getting ready right now. And so we're doing these, getting them ready. We have to put these bolts, sliding them through like what my son's doing right now. You can see how we're just sliding them in there like such, getting them ready to go. So there you go. And as I was saying earlier, we're making the posts now, or what would be studs. They're the wall posts, pardon the radio in the background there. But one of the things that we have to do is, on the directions, it'll tell you that certain posts are going to get certain bolts that go in them first. You got to make sure you put these bolts in first, and that's what we're doing right now. So, and then we'll have, the next time I film, I should have posts in this little greenhouse, and we'll see a little bit more structure in place. Okay, we are finishing putting up the wall pieces now, the wall studs, or whatever you want to call them. Chance is finishing up over there, final touch. We had a weird mishap take place over there that we had to adjust and work on. So he's trying to get that adjusted right now as we speak. So once that gets adjusted, we should be good to go. Okay, so we've got the brace bars going across on this wall. Now we are going to put them next on that right wall, or left wall, excuse me. And we'll be doing that here next. So that's what we're about to do next. And by the way, this part, once you have everything square, like what we fought with yesterday, this part really is going up fairly well. I would say follow those directions carefully, because you can save yourself a lot of time of unscrewing and rescrewing stuff because you placed it parts on the greenhouse incorrectly. So we're getting ready to put the roof on now. Sorry if my face is right in your face. This camera doesn't have very good wide angle, but anyway, this is the planning room, and here we are getting stuff planned. Colby's getting things off his chest, and okay, maybe not. But Chance is looking at the stuff, and we're going to get planned.
I have to tell you something.
On camera?
Just get things off my chest.
Oh, gotcha.
I feel so much better.
You know, as amateurs, you know, we don't always have all the right equipment. You can see the height of the ladder that's inside there. It's got that green top on it. When you can see how high we need to get, that's a 6-foot ladder we're dealing with. This roof is reaching heights over 10 feet, so we're going to have to deal with that. So we're borrowing a ladder. We'll get a 10-footer here soon, and we'll continue to finish our project. But you can see how it's shaping up and coming along from the angle from right off our porch. So we got the frame of the roof up now, and the big ladders came just in time. That yellow ladder is a 7-footer. That's our 6-footer. What you see on the ground there's a 12-footer, but that's got some other problems that we may have to deal with. We wanted an 8-footer, but can't find one just yet. But anyway, that's where we're at right now on this project. All right, so we've got the top part of this now put in. There's a few other things we're still working on, and Chance is looking at the old directions as we speak, figuring out what's going to go where, trying to figure it all out before we start getting up on the roof and ladders to get all this put in. Well, as you can see, I'm getting the window panels in now. These are the vent panels that are on the ceiling. That's the ones that have the glass panes already in them. We did make one mistake, and I'll bring you over to that real quick. I don't know if you could see that or not. Trying to zoom in and out on it's kind of difficult. But on that, we're pretty much right in the center of the screen. There's that bar that's going across. There's a little bitty, I'll try to hold my, right around that area, a little bitty thing that's sticking up. It's this thing right here. I'm going to show it to you. Maybe if I can find the camera. There it is. That little thing right there has to be pointing upward toward the crown, and it is, but if I could zoom in, which I can't, I had it reversed. This one's been corrected. This one here, the screws, the pointer was pointing the other way, and the screw was barely sticking, or the pointer was barely sticking out. And it was important to have these go the right way as well. So anyway, I had to adjust that. So I turned the poker thing around. I don't know what else to call it, and that's what I'm going to do. And now I have to align it like I've done these over here. And what that thing is for is the bars that you see hanging down the handles. They've got holes in them, and you can latch them at certain heights to keep the vent open, just a certain opening, a certain amount, and you can adjust it that way. Behind me there you see the first door that I created. Just to get you caught up, yesterday we spent the day squaring up the building. We got started really late. We were really exhausted from a couple of days before of working out in this amazing heat that we have here in Texas. And that door right there is finally assembled. I think I put it together right. We'll find out here in just a second. But you know, you'll notice that there's some tape on the door there as well, and I wanted to show that to you because you can see there that it is taped up there. Now, once you have both sides in place, you don't need the tape anymore. But one of the things that I struggled with was I started putting together the whole thing. For some reason, I missed the part where it was just only one of these. This is where, I tell you what, the window panels and the door here are some of the places where the instructions really start going bad. I've heard people complain about how bad the instructions were. This is really where it started happening. They tell you to leave these screws here loose until later. I hope that by now I've got it where it's not supposed to be so loose. I think I understood it to mean that when you got this on, that you can then tighten it back up to the final side frame there. Once that's on, then you could do it. So I hope that I got it done right now at this point. But I think that the purpose of keeping these loose is so that you can slide the bar up or down one way or another, so that these aren't bending in too much, or so that they don't fall out because you have the bars too far apart. So that's kind of what I think is going on there. But I'll show you the rest of it, and then I'm going to build the other one of these doors today, and then we're going to start putting panels in. So this is our greenhouse so far. The window panels are in. Like I said, those are the ones that I had to get things squared up a little bit better on it. Everything has been checking out square up until this point on the roof, and so I'll tell you real quick a little bit how we went around squaring it, because each window responded differently. But you'll notice that on the crossover bars on the roof that they overlap each other. Well, what we did is we loosened up those, we adjusted them some, and worked it out that way until they were able to fall down into place the way they were supposed to. So this is it so far. We'll see what happens by the end of the day. Hopefully I will have all of the panels in place. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay, so it's Tuesday, and we have now got, on Monday we went and got the dirt that is outside of the building, and it's a compost soil mix that we bought, and leveled up the ground around the building. We needed to do that desperately. Got a cubic yard of it, and then inside we've got a cubic yard of sand, and I can't remember the type of sand we got off the top of my head, but it's all packed in. So the next step is gravel. We'll fill in the rest of that. I know at first I said we were going to fill in all of it with gravel. However, gravel is $55 per cubic yard. This was $5, so actually it was $6. And so because I have to at least buy a minimum of $15 at the place I bought it, right over here where you see the black mulch, I bought more of that so that I can feed this a little bit more. It needs more mulch in it. I need to kill some grass there, and then we'll put some more mulch on it. I got 2 bags of mulch to make up my $15 when I got the sand. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. Well, and on August 2nd we started putting in the panels. We got those put in by the next day. We did some of them on the sides early on, actually on the roof early on, and then we did the side walls on August 3rd, and we finished it up. And here is the completed product. So anyway, we were pleased with it. However, we did have a misfortunate thing take place not too long after we got all of this done. We went to Houston. We hadn't siliconed it in yet, and we went to Houston over the weekend. Well, here's a video for Greenhouse Part 3. While we were in Houston, we had storms come through Springtown. According to the weather report, it was saying there were 65-mile-per-hour winds that were coming with those thunderstorms. I had not gotten these siliconed in yet, and you can see how they busted out. And right now we have them placed here. I'm not sure where they landed originally. I think one of them landed just right here, but had somebody come and put them up for us. Thank you, Mom, and for doing that. And anyway, so I did find all my pieces. There's two of the pieces there that need to go back in over here on what they would call the left side front. These two panels got busted out as well. And up here, this is my problem. These doors, or window doors, whatever you want to call them, had to go in before any of the other stuff went in. And I have now siliconed in those up there, so I've got to figure it out. And I don't have a zoom on this camera, but if you look real carefully up to the top of the roof, or what they call the crown of the roof on the instructions, the window frame is actually itself has been bent on both there and there, and that's why the panels did blow out, because these panels were not siliconed in, but that's because they were surrounded firmly by the frame itself. They weren't clipped in. They were put together inside the frame itself and bolted together. So the wind was blowing pretty good. So those are the window units that I'm going to have to figure out how to get back up there. And everything else did fairly well. This started to blow out here, but I can pop that back in place and get it siliconed in. My theory is if the silicone were on it, I'm not so sure the top would have popped off the way they did, because no air would have been blowing inside of the greenhouse to begin with. I think because airflow got inside, it started blowing it apart from inside. But that's just my theory. I don't know for sure. I know that window up here also blew open, but it's not damaged. From everything I can tell, the only reason why it's not closing is because the handle blew outward and landed on top of the glass that's underneath it. But once I get up there on a ladder, I can pull that back down and close it. Not a problem. So anyway, so that's part 3. I had not yet siliconed the walls yet, and wouldn't you know, luck would have it, a 65-mile-per-hour storm would come through and blow it apart. You can see the rain had fallen quite a bit too, because it washed out all of my dirt that I had right there and right here. So I'll have to get more dirt and get that put back up there as well. I was going to get more dirt anyway, just wasn't going to do it just quite yet. But anyway, so there we go. That's our report. I don't know how far you can see over there. That's the stuff that's in my yard, and then behind it, trees that fell in my neighbor's yard. This is the storm that blew these tree limbs down, is the storm that got my greenhouse. Okay, so this one's a sideways one taken with my camera. Sorry about that, but this is the window frame. I managed to pull it off. It may be more of a challenge to get it back on, but I think fixing it will be easier if it's off of the roof, and I can work on it down here. There are several places where it is bent, so I'm going to now try to get this panel into this.
I hope it proved entertaining and or helpful for you. We did finish it, and what's funny is if you ever want to get spare parts, you might want to buy them ahead of time, kind of anticipate what your needs are. The window frame that we were buying, that I needed to buy, I had to go ahead and order it so that I would have a fresh piece. Fortunately for me, I had a friend who was disassembling this exact model of greenhouse, so I was able to get a window in my greenhouse and it worked in the meantime. However, my part for the window just came in this month. It's December, and back in August is when I had lost my window to that windstorm that we had. So the frame just got too bent out of shape. The piece that goes onto the crown of the roof, that piece got bent out of shape to where I was not going to be able to salvage it. So I had to order it. Because Harbor Freight's parts are made out of country, sometimes they can get stuck in customs for a while. So anyway, my suggestion to you is if you want to order parts, you might want to order way ahead of time and anticipate what you might need um, beforehand. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll try to post another one soon of what it looks like now around the greenhouse, since we did have to build up some more dirt, get a flower bed in, build a ramp up to it, and all of that. Thanks. What you see from this point on is kind of us fixing up the outside area of it and finalizing all of that. But at this point, the greenhouse itself has been built. The rest of this has to do with the aesthetics on the outside.
All right, ideas on the greenhouse. That right there, that piece there will continue out as wood up to this point. But where there's the gap between the wood and the ground, because there will be, I'm going to have a paving stone put there. And then it's going to continue on this direction and then back up here. Same on this side of it. We're going to have the thing come from here to here and then over and then back where you can where it continues that direction as a flower bed. So in other words, where you see this thing going down into the ground, it's going to extend outward this direction as well and then come over and then in. And then this is going to be a ramp upward to here. I do need to make sure that the ramp is extended and find some way of making it come up over this so that we don't damage the track here whenever we're pushing wheelbarrows or other things here, that we don't kick it and trip over it or anything else. So that's what I'm shooting to do at this time. And isn't it amazing, no matter how much tarp you put in, you're still going to find weeds in your garden, or weeds in your pebbles. So that's what I'm looking to do there. We'll get a fan and stuff for here, as well as a heater to run. The fan I'm hoping to get, this is my idea right now, is hoping to get a solar fan so that runs on solar energy. And as far as the heater, I don't know if I can find a solar heater that would do it. I might can, but it'll be a little bit more pricey in the first part of it, but maybe catch up later. I'm wanting to get tables or something to put here. My thinking right now is that here in the middle is where we'll put the big banana trees that are coming in. Over here we'll put the plants that are tropical of nature that are on the porch right now, and those fit in this section. And then my work section is going to be over here on the north wall. So that's what I'm looking at in here right now.